All right, I got our lecture notes up from last time we met. They're in the module 3 or whatever module we're on. No, they're in the spring 2025 lecture video module. But recall in that module, we had started with class node. We had started developing our singly linked list, which we called SL list. We had a bunch of constructors. We had a set head and a get head. And a set tail and a get tail. We had a print function, and we went through and we set up a way to get that all going. So copy and paste that over here, bring that in. I'm going to delete out a bunch of this stuff that's extra. I think I need that. And I don't think we used that last time, so I'm going to gray that out. And so, you know what? It's not hard to make a new one. I'm just going to delete it. Let's start with our code that was like the code we left off with. So we had set tail, just kept adding to the end. I want to kind of rename that because this is what I was saying. This is the objectives for today.
We have the objectives.
Yeah.
That means you might not be able to finish it.
I finish less when you ask silly
I'm
questions.
sorry.
All right. So objectives for today. Right now we have an add node at end. We already call it set tail. And I think we're going to rename it because I want to make, let's make an add node at front. That way, if we have to replace the head node, this replaces head node and moves everything down the chain. And let's do make an add node at middle. And we'll see what we come up with. And given some time, maybe right now we have a destructor that destroys the entire linked list, but maybe we just want to knock off one node. So maybe why did I do a comment out when I already got it commented out? Let's make a single node destroyer. Like remove node or something like that. So maybe I'll put little dashes here for our agenda. And I eventually want to add, let's make a node pointer for tail, because that might be easy or help later on. What happened? Lol. There we go. Node pointer tail. Does it sound like a good thing? Being able to add at the front is good because right now we're just adding at the end. Being able to add at the front is good, but like in a real database, you'd be able to add in the middle. So that's what we want to take on. We're going to keep this what we had. It gives us something to add into the middle too, add to the front of, and we'll roll with that. So I'm going to start off and we're going to change set tail to add node at end. This is kind of easy in Visual Studios. What is it? Control F? Yeah. You hit Control F on PC. You can click that and it generates a find and replace. And right now we have set tail. And I could just change this to add node at end. And this little button here just changes one of them. This changes all of them. So it's gonna, oh, it replaced 7 occurrences. It must have shown up 7 times. I like GetTail. Let's leave GetTail alone. Being able to access the end of the train is pretty handy. Right? Okay, so that met objective 1. Okay, let's make an add node at front. I'm going to go up into our class SL list. On my screen, I'm going to do, I'll put them in order here. We're going to do a void add node at front. I'm on line 40. And while I'm in the process, I said I wanted to make one at the middle. So let's just get it set up. And I want that to be a capital A. MF. Back up to where I was. There we were. All right. Give you all a second to get that into your linked list. Then we're going to copy it and go down and prototype it. Okay. I'm scrolling down. I'm putting it right before add node at end so that they're in order here. For me, that's line 116. And I need some stuff like that going on. And I need some stuff like that going on. And I need some my scope resolution operator. And I need some space, damn it. So let's tackle. Oh, fuck. Look at that. I copied the wrong 2. I'm putting add node at front and add node at middle in. There we go. Let me sign off with friends. Okay, so everyone ready? Because we're going to go to the document camera and reason this shit out. This is the easiest way to do linked lists. There's some complicated shit going on usually. So let's go do that right now. I'll move that up there. So what did we have? So right now our list, it starts. We have a head pointer in our class. This is our SL list class. And we have a single variable and it's a head pointer. And right now for the list we have, which was my list, we had it pointing to AB and AB pointed to CD. And since we're going to do one in the middle, I'm going to make a gap. That way I don't have to redraw this fucking chart later on. Start thinking ahead. I'm going to put EF over here. And I'll still make the arrow pointing it. And that's good for now. We know this goes all the way over to IJ. And that is a null pointer. So that's kind of blurry. Because we're going to do add node in middle, so I'm going to put something there later.
It seems okay, but I don't see the complete page.
I can't make that happen without, let's see if I can.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
If anybody else would have asked, I would have been complied quicker.
Okay, they're lucky.
Let's do focus. I don't want a manual focus, just autofocus for me. The fuck is autofocus? That's flip. Zoom bar is in the way, autofocus. Fucking zoom bar is the most annoying fucking piece of shit.
Okay. Why isn't it possible to make it just disappear?
Cause ask Zoom. That's something for Zoom. All right,
It's like, no, I'm saying like, why would they out of that?
I don't, like I said, ask Zoom.
We need an
Add-
extra camera.
So we want to do an add note up front. So let's say like what comes before letters, maybe numbers. I like the number 13. So we're going to add in a 13. This is going to be our arg node to add. So what we need to do, what do we need to do? Actually, do I want to do it as a string or do it as a pointer? So if I do it as a string, I got to do new node in here. Ah, fuck it. We'll do it as a string. That's what I got set up for now. So that's, I don't have a 13, but this is what we want to make. So we're taking in like our arg item. So what we need to do is we need to make a new node with arg item in it. That's something that needs to be done. And that creates this box. Step 2, now we have 2 things we got to do. We got to, and what order we do them in, I'm not sure. So I'll put them side by side and we'll pick. We got to make this the head. And we need to connect to AB. Right? So I can do them in 2 orders. Let's reason out what happens, because thinking this out really can help shit. If I make this the head first, then head would be redirected here. Nope, head would be redirected there. And then can I connect to AB? Do I have anything that points to AB anymore? No. So if I do the head thing first, I fuck myself. So let's do this one first. And we'll do this one second.
Quick
Well, I
question.
guess 1 was, so we'll call that 2 and we'll call this 3.
So are we, sorry to interrupt, are we using recursion then to get back to the point where you were?
No. We're gonna start as is. We're only taking in the item. So we're not like starting at any point on the list. We're not even, we're the only thing where we're gonna send in something to the list and say, put it in. So like, we're not looking at, like, the only thing we're looking at right now is head. That's the only thing we have when we get to this point right here. So let's start writing out what we said. I'll make a comment block here. That way we can see what we're talking about. We needed to make a new node with arg item. And it needs to be a pointer. And then we needed to connect the next pointer to the head. And then we needed to make our new node the head. That's what we reasoned out on paper. So like right now, we're just sending in, this is the list. We're not looking at any particular cell. We get in this thing and we can say node pointer temp equals new node arg item.
I think if we had top front in as a thing,
We don't.
so now we have to make our own custom top front.
That's what we're doing. We're making the vector list effectively. So would you rather we call it pop front? That's too close to vector. We can do that. I gotta go up to the top and do a find all again. Control F. We had,
So set now becomes top back.
no. Oh yeah, well, no, it's that tail's gone. So add node at front becomes pop node front, pop front node. I like that because that means I'm gonna have to type less later on. So if I hit replace all, that'll be good. And then we'll do add node at end is, we're gonna replace that with pop back node. That way it sounds like vectors. That's what it sounded like y'all were going for. I'm not doing the underscore. You all can, if you want to underscore, you can write however your code, however you want to do it. You're not restricted to naming shit the way I name it. All right, and okay, let's do pop middle. Pop mid node. No, I'm gonna do middle. And we go pop, pop, pop. All right. So back down to our things. So we took an arg item and we're making a new node. That's what we said we're going to do. And it needs to be a pointer. That's what I did. That's what this one does. This is 1 from our argument. And now I need temp's next pointer. So set next. That needs to be our head node. And we have a function for that, get head. So that address is 2. And then we want to make our new node our head node. So we're going to say set head takes in temp. Does that seem like that's going to make sense?
So temp is connected to set next PTR, but get head.
What?
I'm just looking at.
Well, let's see, we need to, the next pointer needs to go to the head. Get head provides the pointer for head. Provides head pointer. So it's actually accomplishing that. So on paper, what is going on? On line 122, this was line 1. We've done this one. That's done. Line 2, we've got temp set next is get head. So what that does is say, okay, this was our temp. Called that temp. And temp pointed to this. And now we're saying temp's next PTR is, that's coming out of this. What does get head do? Get head retrieves the address of this. So it's going to take this and put it in there, which is effectively connecting that spot. This is step 2. And then step 3 is connect head. You guys with me on that? Let's try that. I wrote 13 there. I can do a string of 13. Let's do it. We're gonna go up here. Look at that. That's I kind of like the pop back. We're gonna pop front, and I'm gonna enter it as a string, not an integer. I don't want to fucking make it noodle bake. And when I run it, it should show up on top. Keeps doing that.
You show it on the CSCI, but it shows it on the storm.
You're right. So what's going on? That's a good observation. It's clearly putting it in there because it's destroying item 13. Oh, look at this. Print string list. We were passing it head pointer, but we just changed the head pointer. So maybe let's not pass it head pointer. Let's pass it my list dot get head. Oh, I wanted to put that in parentheses. And now that should work. What's the pause thing? Where it doesn't make the screen go away? You remember, it's an obscure, weird command. You remember it? Because this is annoying. It's going to run it, and then it's going to go. It didn't go away. Excellent. So put the 13 in, is destroying the 13. Excellent.
Control C, or something like
I don't
that?
know.
I'm just guessing.
So what if the lists were empty? Will that work at the beginning? Let's comment those out. Let's comment all that out. And we're going to just say SL list. My list. That worked. Okay.
What is, wait, can you look at it for a second? I have a question. Why is it the meaning of, a number that doesn't exist?
So that's because our constructor, when we don't have anything, our default constructor puts in a blank string.
Okay.
So I was just testing it. I guess so. I didn't really test it with an empty node. We don't have a way to have an empty node here. So maybe we'll have to test that later on. So I'm going to uncomment that shit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have wasted time.
It's not a waste of time. It was a good question. Let's make sure it's still running. I didn't fuck anything up. Fucking annoying that it closes. Okay, so we should. I'm gonna go back down to our pop front. It might be better off to do node pointer temp equals get head, and then check to see if that's a null pointer. Because right now we have it in there, but if we have a delete function later on, and that's what we're aiming for, we could delete out the entire list. The list thing is still there. and have no nudes. So we kind of want to check to see if temp is null pointer. And if it is, what do we do? It's just kind of set head, isn't it? Set head to new node, arg item. And we'll return out. I don't have a return down there. Maybe that's what's pissing it off. I don't have a return in the main. Is that what's pissing it off? I don't have a return in the main. Wait, that's not the main. I do have a return. Fuck, that ain't it. Okay, we're at pop front. So I add a little bit more to make sure it's not an empty pointer or an empty list. So this checks for empty list. Any questions so far?
So you're saying if it's equal to null pointer, it returns nothing? Or you're returning
If temp, well, it's not returning anything. This is a void function. We're just trying to set a new node to the head. But if it's an empty list, we got to tell, like, the code does, I guess, technically get shorter. And it may cause problems here if I say set next pointer is get head and this is a null pointer. That's the idea there. This line can be broken. If get head is null PTR. So that's what we're trying to avoid by our if statement up here. I think that's a good thing to have on our, did we have it on our pop back node? Yeah, we had something like that. We did it even better there. Look at this. That's a better setup. How about we just go grab that? That way the code looks the same. And I'm going to change that to just temp. No, I'll use temp PTR. So that was from add node at end or pop back node. This is pop front node. And we want a pop middle node. I'm pretty sure this is going to want it. We're going to want this in pop middle node too. So why don't we just copy that down to pop middle node right now? So I'm copying the front part of pop front node. Pop middle node for me is line 138 area, and I'm putting it in there. And I'm going to delete that objective list because I don't know what it is yet. We got to go look at what's going on with this one.
So instead, so we still start as node is equal to new node, right? We still do that, right?
Yeah,
But instead, we make it.
you're right. That line's probably going to copy down too, isn't it? Actually, I didn't do that there. Yeah, I did. I have it listed twice. I don't need that right there. It's already declared as a node pointer. And I guess, let me undo that. Probably don't need that one. So I'm deleting that at the beginning of pop front node, and I'm gonna check to see if I can delete it at the pop back node. I can. I can condense this down to,
So we don't need the node, new node.
I'm condensing it down to less line of codes because here I created it, but I didn't populate it. And now if I make it one line, it's now populated with one line. All right, so let's go. We're looking at pop metal, but we don't know what to do yet. Let's go over to our picture again. I don't know if that camera's pointing at me. There we go.
Oh, look at the, okay. I thought, you're at the same color before, so I'm so confused.
Okay, we want to put something in here. Maybe let's put in DE. That way we have them alphabetically. So we saw that we need to have a new node. Eventually, at some point, we need new node DE. So how do I decide? Like, I know I want to put it after CD or EF. We gotta stop it. We need, this might be easier with the search function, right? Like just create a separate search function because we could use the search function for the delete. So let's make a search function. So we're going to put this bad boy on hold for a second. Let's make a search function. It might be easier to find the first one rather than going to this one and then going, I got to work backwards. That's a pain in the ass. If we find this one, so let's make it so we search for CD. So maybe it needs to return a pointer to the node. So we'll do like a node pointer. I don't know, find text. Send it in that string. So how would that work? Let's get that started off at least. I'm gonna go up to the top. In my classes, I can do it after the, let's do it after get head. Fuck it. Line 40, I'm gonna add a node pointer, find text. You can call it search, you can call it whatever heck you want. Yeah, we're looking for a string, so. Find node? How about find node? Find node sounds better. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down. And make it. So right after get head for me is around 120. I'm gonna put it in. We're gonna scope resolution operator that bad boy. All right, so what do we want to do? So maybe we should start off by making a node point that points to head. And maybe we should make sure the list is empty first, or not empty first. So if get head equals null PTR, see out, list empty, no string located. And we'll do a return. Return null PTR. It's got to be the right format. All right, so assuming it's not empty, we'll start at the head. And what we're doing is, so we start at the head and we go, is this CD. If not, jump to the next one. Right? That's kind of what we're doing. So we can do like, we'll do a check. And we want to keep checking it. Maybe the last one. So maybe we'll make like a while loop. Let's do like while temp does not equal null pointer. That allows us to cycle through everything. We can do a little check here. If temp dot get value or get item equals arg item, then this is the pointer we're looking for, right? That's the one we want to return. Otherwise, we're going to cycle through to the next one. So temp is going to have to equal that temp get next PTR. So this should find everything. If it goes through and doesn't do this, then we should tell the user that the item also wasn't found. String wasn't located. And we'll return null pointer. So is that going to work realistically? So we start off at head. Let's say we're looking for IJ. We start at head. It's not null pointer. It's not IJ. So it skips the if statement and it jumps to the next one. It's not a null pointer. It's not IJ. So it jumps to the next one. And it's going to keep doing that. We get down to here to GH. GH is not IJ. It's not a null pointer. It jumps to the next one. This one is IJ, so it's going to return that position. I think that's going to work. Let me make sure pop metal, we can run it as is. Yeah, just throwing an extra return to make sure everything's looking good. Let's go up here and test it. Let's look for shit. So I'm going to do my list dot find node. Let's find something in the middle. That should return a node pointer. So maybe I will make a temporary node pointer. Let's do a node. Let's bring that current pointer back. So here I'm going to say current pointer equals my list dot find node.
So what the line doing is that the current node is now equal to whatever, we're looking for.
The current pointer is going to point to wherever EF is at. So we can test that by saying we can do current PTR dot get item. That way it shows on screen what the item is. I need parentheses there. Is located at, this is just a quick test. I'm going to assign it as a integer, current pointer dot get next pointer. No, wait. Just current pointer is an address. What's your question?
No, never mind.
So here we're,
Never mind, never mind.
you keep starting and stopping, interrupting me. Pick it, pick something. If you have something to say it. Okay. Are you sure? Because I'm gonna start talking again. And I'm gonna make one, I'm gonna stick one on you. Let's see if that works. Let's see if it finds the F. Why and the one's like, why are you fucking dragging my ass into this? It says it did. Okay. Let's copy that and do it with IJ. Let's make sure it's doing the end of the node. We did the check the middle of the node. And let's have it check the head of the node, which is now 13. So I'm doing 3 tests on my search function. Front, middle, and end. I thought those were all the same numbers at first, and then I look closer. No, of course they're all close to each other. All right, maybe we should check one more. Let's check something that's not on the list. Oh, I think my C out's gonna fuck up if I do that, but let's find out. String wasn't located and it freezes because right now current pointer is a null pointer. And null pointer, oh, look at that, threw an exception. Current pointer was a null pointer, and I was trying to do get item on a null pointer. So definitely got to be careful that we don't use a C out on it. It looks like it was working. Looks like our find function's working. Now we can go back and do our pop middle node, right? That's what we wanted. So I'm going down to, we did our find node. Pop middle node for me is at 153. So we need to find the middle node, or find the insertion node, which means I need to pass in what I'm looking for, right? String find text. And I'm gonna go up and change this at the top too. Because we gotta pass in what we want to insert, and we gotta pass in what it is behind. So I did it there. I'm gonna go up here to find node. I'm gonna add that up here on line 40. And I'll come back down to the bottom, down to pop middle. Did I put it in the right one? I did not put it in the right one. Where the fuck did I put it? I put it on find node. I want to put it on pop middle. All right, those match now. Let's go back down to pop middle, which was 150, we said. Around 150. So find the insertion node. Then we make our new node. Then we saw that we have to connect the tail first, right? Connect next pointer. Connect the new node's next pointer to the insertion node's next pointer. I think. I'm gonna go back to the picture for this one. So we're gonna put in a D. We're gonna make this, and like we found this. This was found. So we've got a pointer to found. Found is pointing to CD. CD is pointing to this. We want to, and let's say this is our temp pointer. We want to, we did the find. We need to make the new node. We need to, let's call that temp. And then we got to say temp's next node. I know that's not the right format, but temp's next node has to be, well, this is pointing to found, and found is pointing to this. So we want found's next node. And then we want found's next node. To be temp. So this line right here. We made it. This makes DE. This is going to let's say 6. I have a different number here. 6 will make that connection. And 7 will break this connection and reconnect it there so the chain is complete. Does that make sense? That seem like we've reasoned it out well? Because if you don't, your shit gets all broken, you lose connection with things, and working this shit out ahead of time is really helpful. Right? It's kind of weird putting in the middle like this. So, temp pointer is going to be, we called it find node. And we're passing it find text. You know what? I called this found on my screen, so I'm going to call that found here. And then we need a pointer for our temp PTR. That's going to be our new node with arg item. I did them in a little different order than what I had listed on the paper, but we needed both nodes, right? And now we said we got to connect temp's next node. So temp PTR set next. So this is not the correct command, but we want to set it at equal to found next. But set next pointer doesn't work like that. It's not it's a function. So we have to actually, it's not equal to it. We're passing it in. Found set next PTR's value. That ends that one, and that ends that one. Let's see, does that? Oh, I don't want set, I want get. We're retrieving it. It was all mad. It was all red. It told me I was doing the wrong shit. Shit's off by one letter. I think it's easier to put in spaces like that when I'm reading it. I don't know about you. Then what did we want to do? We wanted to make temps next, or we wanted found to connect to temp. Found set next. Really? That needs to be temp PTR. What? We're gonna check it because it does kind of feel like pop last is the same thing, right? Let's make sure this one's working. So I'm gonna come up to the main. Line 63, my list, pop middle. And the first thing we pass in was what we wanted to put in and what it was behind. And let's check pop last. We can check, does this do the same thing as pop last? Let's do pop middle. And I'm gonna put Juan after IJ.
instead, it's the opposite, it puts in front of the one we're looking for next.
Yes, but that's more work.
Okay.
It's okay. We can always do it. We'd have to cycle through to the thing where the thing isn't it. But yes, there's always a way to make it work. Let's see if it added one afterwards. Look at that. It did. It put one right at the end. No problems at all. So does this make at end obsolete? Pop back. Pop back was pretty easy to code up, right? We didn't have to tell it where to go.
It's suddenly obsolete because it's way more easy to write and you don't always know what the last pop back is.
That's like, do we really want to go find what the end of the list is? That's a pain in the ass. Like this, our pop middle is only working because we know the elements of that are on the list. If we just want to slap it on the end and not look for it, pop back is still going to work pretty well. So I say we leave it in. We could remove it, but then we're going to have to do everything like this. We're going to have to do CD is after AB, EF is after CD. That's a pain in the ass. But that was a good question.
How would it be different if you add user input?
Why not? What do you mean? How would it be different? We could.
How would the code be like? Would we use an instance to actually?
What is the? You need to give me more than that. What do you mean by user input?
So I mean, like, you like say like in user input to let's say, do you want in next pop a next, you know?
That is a whole lot more code than we're going to take time to do. We want to walk through how this stuff actually works. We might do that stuff like on the workshop on the weekend. Because I'm thinking like this is my thought here, making a singly linked list where our fighter is the first fighter, and we make a list of the people that they're going to fight against, and we can use new node to populate those, because we were having a problem making new characters. I think that the singly linked list is going to bypass all that. But we can make a list of who we're fighting. And so like if we're the first one, we fight person number 2, we defeat number 2, we want to get rid of number 2. Let's make a delete node or remove node. Let's make a remove node. Pop isn't the right word. It's push. You fucked me up. All right. So I'm going through this entire motherfucker right now, and we're getting rid of pop, and we're putting in push.
I'm sorry.
It's the fucking complete wrong word. That's okay. It's a quick fix. Pop and push. Replace all. Oh, look at that. Only 17. That's it.
Once I swear I said push back at some point.
You did not. You said pop. Don't try to back up on that.
I said at some point, and then I started saying pop. I said.
Because now we can do our pop, right? Void pop node. So what are we going to do? We're popping a node. We don't know where it is. We're going to base it on the item, right? Because we're not going to know where it's at. So we want to pass it string arg item. And we're going to have to compensate for it being at the front, the middle, and the back. Well, front and at least middle. Front's going to have its own thing because we have to reassign head if we do front. Okay, so that was line 44 in the bottom of our class. I'm going to come down, going down right before our destructor, line around 200 for me. And we will scope resolution it. And we're going to make some notes. One, if we pop the front node, we need to reassign head. So keep that in mind. Two, we have to find the node we're looking for. By arg item. Let's call that node found again. That allows us to copy and paste some code, right? God damn it. Anytime you use a little asterisk on this, it fucking killed the script text there. Then what are we doing? We need to delete it, but we can't really delete it until we change the connections. So let's go back to our paper and look at the order of changing connections. Because we can lose our string, the rest of our chain really fucking quick if we fuck this up. So let's have CD, DE, and EF. And this is the bad boy that we're going to pop. So let's call that found. So right now, this is pointing to that, that's pointing to that. What we need to do we need to reassign that to that, right? Which means getting to found isn't necessarily what we need. We need the one before found, or what we're trying to delete. Which is fine. We can cycle through until we get to it. So we had head over here. And we can say like temp equals head. And then cycle temp until temp next is found. Temp next would be when temp next equals found, temp would be pointed right here. Because next would be DE where it's found. So we'll do something that does that. We need that in there. So find DE, find CD. Let's say node before it. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do, but not yet. We gotta connect the chains first. So if we're at the node before it, we want to set next node. Wait, this is called temp. That's temp. That's found. So we're gonna do temp set next. What does that equal? It equals, we want it to equal to EF, right? If this is found, this is found get next. So set next is found get next. Right?
So what we're doing is we first get temp equals head, so then temp dot next is found. And found.
Well, temp equals head is where it starts. And then we cycle through temp until temp next is found. And so temp in this case, since we're deleting DE, is going to be pointed there. This will work for middle arguments. Middle nodes. Then we want to as you said, we want to delete found. But before we do, we might want to do found set next is null. Just to be safe. Just, yeah, just to make sure it's good. Let's do that in our list over here. So let's see. If I find the node we're looking for, that'll be node found. Node temp will be the node before it. That's 3. I'm not going to do asterisk again because it keeps fucking it up. And then we say temp next equals found get next. This is slang code. That's not our actual commands, but I think we get the idea here. And then we want to found next. Found dot set or found dot next needs to be null pointer. That's what we were saying. And then we're going to delete found. That's our goal. We still got to do the middle one or the front one, but so we'll get to that in a second. We said we're going to call node found, node pointer found equals find node arg item. That's what we wanted to delete. And then we said node pointer temp was going to start off as get head. And then we'll do a while loop. While temp dot get next PTR does not equal found. We're going to advance the code. Temp equals temp dot get next. That's our cycle through thing. So let's see. We're at AB. AB does not. AB's next is CD. CD isn't DE. So it cycles. And now temp is pointing at CD. CD's next is DE. So it skips this step. So it is finding the right thing. This is where we go and we start implementing this. Node temp will be the node. That's where we found it. We just did 3. Now we need to do temp dot set next equals found dot get. Nope, not equals found dot get next. And make sure that looks good. That's kind of like what we had on line 207, our script there. And found dot, we got to do set next again. That was my shorthand for next. Is the null PTR. And then we delete found. Is that gonna work? We still need to address front, but let's make sure the middle one's working. Let's go up and test this middle one. So let's pop DE. So I'm coming up here to my list or my main function, line 67. I'm going to do my list, pop node, DE.
So, when talking about the popularity, I have a question on one thing. So, the one understanding is that, so once you get, something for that had, like, that's the beginning part, right?
Yeah.
It starts to look for found, when it, when it.
Found needs to be the next. This is like Iceman or the Fantastic Four. When he's fucking running along, he's got to keep making the ice in front of him. That's like adding tail. Here, he's checking to see if the ice in front of him has what he's looking for. And then he's going to stop right there. So we got to keep going, advancing until the next thing is what we're looking for. Does that make sense?
Well, that head is the one that.
I already said we need to do the front one in a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Work with me here. Work with me here.
I'm sorry.
We got 10 minutes. We want to finish this pop one. Let's see if pop worked. We know DE was in there before we did it. And DE was not in there. Excellent. We could add something to it where it says it's popped. Doesn't that sound like fun? Maybe not what you would want in the final code, but let's add that to the pop. See out. Pop goes the node with found dot get item. So that was in my pop node down at 220. And it said it pop goes the node with DE. We could actually add in couts to all this to make sure it's doing what we think it is. We could say cout, temp, get next pointer. We could set it up, but with a few minutes left, let's figure out what we got to do to replace the first node. So if we find the first node, what would that mean here? It would mean right here, if we are popping the first node, temp should equal found, right? So that's actually a good spot to add it. So pictorially, what's going on at that point? We're at AB. And that's CD. And there's more. Right now, head points to it. Temp points to it. And found points to it. Right? Since they're all pointing to it, a good idea of what we should do first. First thing we should do is we should set head to temp.next or found.next. Temp.getNext. That will take head and make it so head is now pointing at CD with step 1 there. And then we can go through and do our delete shit that we already had. This was the easier one to do once we had everything else going. So what did we say? We're gonna set head to temp.getNext. And that's, we need to put this in a loop. If temp equals found. We don't want to just have this happen for no fucking reason. What? We can do an else. The else would be our while loop, right? And what we wanted to have happen every time was Set next on found was null and we pop found. So if we throw the while loop and this part that actually did the middle setting part, I think we might be able to pop AB.
I think you might go when you put this out, pop goes the nose.
Is pop pop goes the weasel. Pop pop goes the weasel, the weasel. It's a song. It's not the nice. It's a song. It's literally a song, not the nursery tale. It's a stupid song, but it's a song. Let's try my list. Pop AB. We figured out Carlos led us down the wrong track by saying pop for everything when it's push. So we went and recoded everything to say push. That way it matched more up with vectors.
You could make the opposite. You could make the opposite if you want to.
Then that's confusing. Look at that. Look at that beauty. Is it gonna fuck up if we do it at the end? Right now, Juan's at the end. Rather than going and just looking at the code, which is probably what we should do, but with like 2 minutes on the clock, I just want to check to see if popping Juan, because he's at the end of the node, if that's going to cause. You're after IJ. J is after I.
I think it will still happen, but
Last semester it was Hefe there. Hopefully that doesn't fuck it up. Nope, didn't fuck it up. Everything worked.
it makes sense because it's looking for every individual one so the north corner. So the only way it wouldn't do that is if
Iffy shit can happen at the beginning and the end. You always want to, when you're doing stuff with this, beginning, middle, end. Verify something at each point works. And this way we did. So our delete node, our pop node works. We have add node at or push back front or push back node, push front node, push middle node. On not Monday. Monday's a holiday. On Wednesday, we will start doubly linked list stuff. We did. Pop was just working just fine. Well, you got to figure out where you're going to put it. So how do you figure out where you're going to put it?
Well, you could like divide the number of items by 2 or something. But you have to.
Oh, if you just want to put it in the exact middle,
Yeah.
you could make a, I would start at temp equals get head, make a counter equals 0, cycle all the way through the list, find out what counter equals, and then stop at counter divided by 2 and push in there. Fairly straightforward. All right. Nice meeting up. It's a 4-day weekend. I will be at the Mesa Center on Saturday. I'm doing shit with my wife on Sunday, so we're not going to do our thing this Sunday. What?
I have a side one. I'm just plugging my side.
Yeah, wait.
That's one app.
Oh, tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, so you're still good.
Not the best.
In Saturday.
Yeah, his.
Everyone's there. He didn't like.
I wanted to make fun of you, but like I didn't want you're like in charge there. I didn't want to disrespect.
Oh, I think what happened is that we both fell for that.
No, I noticed it.
Oh, okay.
I promise you I noticed it.
notice what?
See you Friday. Be
Not
sure
spelled with
I will be
2 Fs.
there for you.
I'm not going to be there Friday.
On Saturday. Oh,